Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Liam Looks At, and today we're finally looking at Fallout 2. This is a game that I was supposed to beat months ago, but to be completely honest, I thought I had a lot more time in the year, so I kind of took a break, was playing other games, stopped gaming for a little bit, and then realized, oh shit, I need to beat all the Fallouts before the end of the year, because that's what I said I was going to do. So now I was in overdrive mode to get this done. And I do think that during my review, that's going to impact a lot of my opinions on it. So I do want to give that preface. I did kind of rush through this game. I mean, I put like 26 hours into it, which is definitely not rushing. But from my understanding, this game really needs a lot more dedication to that. So I'm gonna go over kind of my thoughts on it. I if you refer back to my earlier review, I did beat the first Fallout for the first time, and this is my first time playing the Fallout 2. So yeah, we're gonna get into it and talk about kind of what I liked, what I didn't like, and go from there. First thing off the bat that I want to say, this game has a much slower start than that original Fallout. That original Fallout kind of gets you right into the action. I feel like it gives you a weapon, it gives you things to do, it kind of gives you a quest, and you go off. This game is similar in the sense of tells you kind of what you need to do in the first couple minutes. Hey, you need to go get the Gek, and we need to save our town. Very similar to getting the water chip from the last game, but unfortunately, this game is a lot less handholdy, which I think for these older games that I'm not accustomed to made it a lot harder. I can definitely see people thinking that that is a positive, so I'm not going to kind of make it a negative for too much, but this game really kind of just throws you out and then it says figure it out. I remember it took me probably like 2 to 3 hours to find my first actual weapon that wasn't just a stick, and considering the fact that I didn't make a melee build, it made the opening hours very, very difficult. I did run into a couple glitches and bugs. I had a really game breaking bug where all the cutscenes and all of the animations and sounds would be at slow motion, which is why I had to download the restoration mod pack, thinking that would solve it. It didn't solve it. It wasn't until just one day I opened up the game and it no longer was doing it that it fixed it. I looked up a line, I saw people were having the issue, nobody had a solution. So I downloaded a couple different mods, and I don't really know what the hell they did, but that will come and play here later in my review. But I will say I did not get to play the actual vanilla experience. Not that I'm sure that there was too many changes, but I wanted to play the most vanilla experience. But I thought that restoration mod would fix it. By the time I had put enough time into it, thinking maybe something would fix it, I was not going back and starting over again. So that's why I had to play on the restoration mod. It was a fine mod. Probably not the way I would want to go for the first time playing it, because a lot of the guides I was looking up did not have that in mind. So some of the changes and things like that made it just a little more difficult. Onto the story, just real quick. It's a very simple story, much like the original game. It's not about the quest, just like all Fallout games. It's not about the major quest that you're going on. It's about the little stories that happen in between, and that is still unchanged. I do think that those mini stories that are told with the side quests and things like that are still the meat of the game. But for the main quest, it is very similar to getting the water chip. Hey, I need this. Go get this thing. You look for it. Everybody points you in a different direction. You end up going and eventually finding it. Once you find it, shit hits the fan, and the second half of the game really starts. So in that regard, it felt very samey, and I felt like I wasn't doing much that was different from that original game. Which, as I said, it's not about the main quest, but I would have liked a little more motivation than just saving a bunch of people that I really didn't care about in the beginning. Gameplay wise, nothing much has changed. I will say there are a few quality of life changes that I really, really appreciated. Number one, biggest one to me, is the automatic like when you're trading with somebody and it says, hey, you owe me 100 caps. In Fallout 1, I would have to manually select 100 caps. In this game, it automatically, when you throw the caps into the trading, it automatically does it. Makes it very easy. You don't have to do the math, because the last game I had to do the math. So if I was buying a bunch of weapons, I was selling a bunch of stuff, and then also having to pay for it, I'd have to do the math of, okay, how much more do I owe? This game, it automatically does it, which I love. That saves a lot of time and trouble that, to be honest, wasn't necessary. Building your character is very similar. I mean, you pick your stats, you pick your perks, you click specific stats that you want to get a little bit better as you level up, and you kind of go from there. I built a very similar build, small guns, lock picking, and first aid. Since I knew I was going to be picking a lot of locks, I knew I was going to be getting hit a lot because I'm not very good at these kind of games, and I knew what kind of guns I was going to be using for the majority of the game. So that's, kind of helped me there. I still ran into similar issues when it came to having companions. This game I actually played most of the game with 3 companions, which I didn't. Last time I think I only had 1, and in this game they definitely blocked my path a billion times, and it was getting to the point where I was ready to kill my companions. And even telling them to move away, they wouldn't move away. And then telling them, essentially I had to tell them, come to me. I had to run all the way to back of a room that I was stuck in so they could move out of the doorway and then be able to go. Just another kind of, it's just these kind of games. It's a little annoying, but wasn't game breaking, but definitely had me tear my hair out at certain points. Overall, I felt the game was just a little too cryptic and not as helpful as the original game. I felt that original game you could get in there without a guide and be able to kind of just know where you're going, get the things done, know what the main quest was, and then know what the side quests were. This game I had a really hard time knowing, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing to beat the game, or am I doing something for a side quest? And normally in games I want to have a clear cut. I know that's kind of, it's an RPG. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be about the whole journey. So I'm not saying it as a negative. For most people, probably enjoy that, but for me personally, it made it very hard to know kind of what I'm supposed to be doing and what are the side quests. Because I could be off for 3 hours doing something and then find out that did nothing for me, advancing the story. And when I was trying to beat the story in a somewhat relative amount of time, just ends up making it very difficult. That being said, it still has that same great, characteristics of the characters and things like that. Great quest design, things like that. I just wish the main quest was a little more kind of on a straight path of saying you need to do this. If you go do something else, just letting you know you're doing something different. But that's it. I mean, I felt like the game was just, it wasn't, I was definitely under leveled near the end of the game, to the point where I was level 13 and trying to beat the game, or level 15 trying to beat the game, which really shouldn't have been that low a level. Had to do a couple different things to beat that final boss because he was definitely difficult. But yeah, no, I mean, and I kind of alluded to in the beginning, but the restoration mod added a couple things, especially near the end where I was trying to get done, and then it says, oh, you need to do this. And I looked it up in the guide, and that's not what it said to do. And then, I try not to use a guide too often. I just felt like I had to for this game. And all the guides for this game, by the way, are awful and terrible. If you want to know how to just do the main quest, good luck. Because there's no guide online that's going to show you how to just, what you need to do. Because you need to go back and forth between different towns and things like that. And there's no guide that I've found that says, okay, do this now. It was always, here's all the things to do in this town. Here's all the things to do in the next town, but it's not always that linear. Just kind of a point. That being said, I'm not going to harp on the game too much. I will definitely say I did not like it as much as I like that original Fallout. It's one that I think I would definitely revisit without that, oh my God, I need to beat all the Fallout games by the end of the year, breathing down my neck. But for right now, definitely wasn't my favorite game that I played this year. Definitely was a game that, if it wasn't for me saying I was going to beat the Fallout games, I would have quit easily. Many times that I wanted to quit. So that's my review for Fallout. I know I've kind of given more sporadic with these reviews. I do have a handful of games that I'm like right at the end of. I've been playing a bunch of games all over the place, so I might have a batch of reviews coming up soon, but I really got to crack down and focus. So Fallout Tactics is definitely my next focus. I know it's a different type of game. I've heard it's very difficult. Fuck me. But I am very much looking forward to getting to the games that I grew up with: Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4, 76. The games that I have a lot more experience with, because those are games I know I can beat quickly if I want to, and I'll be able to kind of relax and kick back and do the things I want to do with them. Obviously, I got to beat Brotherhood of Steel. I have no idea what I'm getting into with that one. I assume it's easy. I've heard not a lot of great stuff about it, so I assume it's something I can blow through because it's not a very good game, so we'll see. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. This has been a review of Fallout 2, and I'll be back with the next one very soon. See ya.